we usually have like we have like a Cubs rub and sexual harassment, but I got an MLB rant to go on.
Oh, we
And
need to workshop
that,
this, come up with a name for these.
yeah, and feel free. I want to know your opinion on this, but
You'll get it one way or the other.
I said true. If I didn't want to know it, I would still get it. So that's the beauty of this podcast.
Exactly.
But it's about pitch framing, and here's my rub on pitch framing.
It's dishonest.
It's
inherently.
well, yeah, and it's really an indictment of how bad a lot of umpires are. And here's why. When the ball hits the glove is not the determination of whether a ball is a strike or not.
Yeah. Or where the ball hits the glove and then is moved a foot over. That is not where a strike is.
That is not where a strike is called. A strike is called the minute it touches the plate. A ball can be a strike when it hits the front of the plate and be a ball when it hits the glove.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that there are so many umpires that are so easily fooled by pitch framing is just horrendous.
Here's I'm gonna jump in here because I almost think it might not speak to like how incompetent umpires are. I think it speaks to how impossible it is for a human to judge balls and strikes in that, or how easy it is to create an optical illusion.
True.
If pitch framing has it's clearly become such an art form. It's such an important part of a catcher's game because you have to steal strikes, and it's not that hard to do. So I think this would just lead me into, we got to have a fucking automated strike zone. Just another.
We have to. We really do.
And it sounds like that could be on the horizon, and I would be all for it. The people that complain about it, I think, they just say, "Oh, do you really want robot umpires out there?" Which is the dumbest thing ever. Bruce Levine, I say this every time this comes up, but Bruce Levine is always one that just brings up robot umpires, or maybe he says robot umpires, but
the good old robot.
Yeah, the robot. It's not robot umpires. It's aided. The umpires are standing out there just like they always would. They would be aided by technology, and they'd get a signal, whether it's a buzzer or something in their earpiece. It'd be a binary system. If you hear a buzz, that's a strike. If you don't hear a buzz, it was a ball. It's the simplest thing. They're using this in different leagues in the minors. It can work, and it's stupid that we're still letting old guys, humans, make these calls if they are this easily duped. So
yeah,
I just stole your segment. Sorry, but I
agree.
I'm all for it.
And the thing about it is, like, there are pitches that get called strikes that is a horrendous move of the glove.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, it seems they're most duped bringing it straight down or straight up. And the good pitch framers, and Grandel is one of them. What he'll do is, when a ball's like on the outside portion, he'll make it look like he'll hold his glove where most of it's in the strike zone, right? So even though the ball hits,
but his glove is in.
But so he doesn't really have to move the glove, and it looks it's the optical illusion of a strike, but you can see on the pitch cast that it was clearly a ball.
Yeah, that's the other technique. They'll hold it there like he's confident that it was a strike. He's holding it there for the ump, so he can exude confidence and fool the ump. There's a myriad ways to fool an old umpire or even a young umpire, just because they're human. They're also an umpire's perspective, whether he's over the catcher's right shoulder or left shoulder, also affects how they view a pitch on the inside or outside, depending on the situation. So it's an inherently incredibly difficult thing to do, and I'm actually surprised how good most umpires are at it. But I mean, with 300 plus pitches per game, they're gonna fuck up their fair share of pitches. But we don't need to do this. We don't need to have to deal with this anymore. We have the technology to cure this.
There's a few great stories that happen with this too. You get a true consistency over baseball, right? You
Mhm.
get this. You're going to get, if you want more offense, it's a great way to get more offense, and it's also a great way to get consistency out of your pitchers
Yeah.
because you know where you have to throw the ball. It's not going to be changing throughout the game. It's not going to be suddenly it looks like the ump needs to get to a dinner reservation so everything's a fucking strike for the last
Right.
2 innings. Like none of that shit's going to happen. You're just going to come in and you have to throw a legit strike.
And it's the
And,
same strike as it is anywhere on any mound you're at, any stadium you're at,
right.
any umpire. That yeah, I think the ramifications of what you just brought up are huge. That what it means for pitchers going forward, if and when they do finally do that. I didn't even think about it in those terms, but yeah, you pitchers might. Well, pitchers might get even better, but what about the batters? They know exactly what a
No,
strike is.
yeah,
So
it's going to be it's going to be it would change the game in the better in so many ways, and you want to get rid of all the no-nos too. They're going to go away. A lot of no-nos are going to go away because there's not that many pitchers with like great control like a Garrett Cole or a Max Scherzer or even Lance Lynn when he's on, who can literally grab what is electronically going to come up as a strike, like just grab that corner, right?
right,
There's not that many that can do that. So you're not going to get these anomaly like no hitters or perfect games from guys who will never be heard of again or ever make the Hall of
right.
Fame or anything like that.
Phil Umbers of the
Full
world.
Umbers and our favorite Edwin Jackson, who's played for every major league team. The
Everyone
nine
knows
walk,
Edwin Jackson.
the 9 walk no hitter. I don't think we should really talk about that one. But like, yeah. So I
Well,
just
if we're gonna get really deep into this, the only thing that I could, this is kind of a straight. It's like a, I don't know, geometry or something, trigonometry. But the only thing I can think of possibly being a drawback of the automated strike zone is it views the strike zone how it should be. It's a cube. It's not a square. It's 3 dimensions. So
right,
the depth of the plate is also involved. So what could happen is I'm thinking like a high curveball, like a 12-6 curveball drops down in the back corner, top back corner of the plate or something. Just I think different pitches might end up being strikes that we never saw before, that we wouldn't immediately by the eye test think as a strike. But if it drops through that cube at any point,
yeah,
it's going to be called a strike. So I'm wondering if that could lead to weird strategies with maybe knuckleball pitchers, like throwing high and letting the ball drop down through that cube, the strike zone cube. I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking this, but that's the only drawback I could see. Just there might be different pitches that you're not used to seeing called strikes that have been strikes all along, but you would never
right,
think of them that way, just because you don't think of you don't process the strike zone necessarily as a cube as it always has been, but it's more just the front of the plate. But it really goes back 17 inches or however
yeah,
far.
right,
It's actually
exactly,
more
yeah.
than a cube because it's got the point at the back, so it's got the however
Right, and
deep that is.
that's the thing about the curveball. It could
Mm-hmm.
grab that point
That back point.
if it's coming out and back over the plate. You could
Yeah.
get that back point for the strike, and you do see it that a lot of curveballs when Cecil throw not the 12-6 one, but throw that curveball high and try to get the high strike with it. He does not always get it called, but it does show up as a strike in pitch track, and you'll see with a lot of guys who try to get high curveball calls. And while umps have gone to a much higher calling the high strike this year, which a lot of the White Sox pitchers have taken
Oh yeah.
advantage of that. A lot of pitchers have with high fastballs, but the curveball does not consistently get called when it's thrown high because it's out of the zone for a pretty long
It
time.
doesn't look like a strike, but
Yeah.
if it drops way low, then it passed through the zone. But it might,
Right.
even if it doesn't drop that much, it might be passing through the zone, but it's an optical illusion that doesn't look
Right.
like it is.
So
I'm all for getting rid of the potential for optical illusions. That's literally what pitch framing is and everything else.
it's
They're just
magic.
illusions.
Illusion.
And
Yeah, so
the real reason that there's going to be a fight would just be the umpires union or whatever they have. They'd be fighting that because they don't want that power taken away from them necessarily. But fuck you. I mean, fuck umps. We're not here to see umpires. We're here to see
right.
baseball, and the more truth we can get from every call, what is actually happening on the field. If that ball really did go through the strike zone, that's what we're all looking for. We don't need the human element is the argument that fogies like Bruce Levine come up with. But the human element is meant for the players, not for the adjudication of the team of the game itself. So
I will continue to go with the stance that we should never know any of the umpires' names in the game.
mm-hmm.
Outside of if you have the game turned on right when they announce who the umpires are in the game,
Yeah.
because they do give you that stat. But like those names should go right out of your head and you not hear their name called again unless it was just to give them an accolade for doing something well.